everybody, this is a light language transmission and divine feminine reading. It's for this week, which is the 5th of July 2021, but it's relevant at any time you see this. So the top line here is the individual process for the divine feminine. And this bottom line is how it's the action, or how it's grounded into physical reality when you go through this upper process. This one here is the antidote that we bring in, goes down this central pillar here, and we have a couple of outcome cards that will come at the end. If you see, these are all individual, these are all the inner process, and these are all the outer process, and they're dualistic. There's two aspects of it, two polar aspects for each of these. And I love how she's about to fly without wings. She's jumping off as if she had wings, and we have this winged fairy here sitting, also able to just jump off there when it's ready, aware of its wings. So it's almost like this is the physical component, this is the spiritual winged component of the divine feminine. And really basically the antidote for all of this is trusting that you're supported when you follow your guidance. So this first line here is very much about ego, these two cards here. So this detach is traditionally the Justice card, which is dualistic in itself. It's all about balancing the good and the bad, stepping back, reviewing from a neutral place, from an adjudicating place, seeing it clearly and honestly, and assessing things to then take appropriate action. All of these cards along here are major arcana. So this is traditionally the Justice, which is about detaching, stepping back and seeing clearly, not emotively, not from just your perspective, but from the perspective of all parties involved. This is traditionally the High Priestess, which is the feminine aspect of connecting to the mystery, looking inward, connecting to the intuition. And this one is the Hermit traditionally, which is also going inner to get perspective. So the divine feminine process at the moment is all about perspective, from the 0 point, from the neutral space, from the higher perspective, and bringing that through into action and the circumstances in their real world. And even the overarching card here, the antidote we're bringing in, is traditionally the Fool, which is about trust. Trusting the process, trusting the higher plan, trusting you're supported by the universe and that you'll be caught. You won't fall. So with this one, this is the ego level. It's very much about releasing the ego, coming into the loving heart, seeing the truth of the situation, and that's the dove of peace. So it's bringing the peace. It's letting go of anything that's not peace. It's detaching from anything that's not the truth and not real. And, you know, even looking at what your part in it is, and how this situation has been created, and maybe any illusions or that you may have had or projected onto the other based on the ego constructs. And I don't mean that in a critical way. I mean, the ego is there to protect us. The ego is there to keep us safe, and it uses information from the past to restrict how we think outcomes are going to happen in the future. And when that comes against someone else's ego, there are limitations, and there are illusions or delusions and projections, rather than really, if you can step out of the ego and step into spirit and heart and see it as if it was not actually you in the situation but another person, you can then see how your reactions and fears and ways of protecting yourself, or your predictions and projections about what this, if this happens, then that leads to that, can actually create a limited situation that appears unresolvable from the ego mind. So this is really about stepping back, releasing the ego, releasing the attachment to any outcomes, releasing any projections about any outcomes, releasing the emotional feelings, hurts, defensiveness about the past, or anything that's happened in the past, or anything that you're projecting may happen in the future, or scared may happen in the future, based on what you see, based on your judgment, and coming out of that emotion, coming out of that ego protection, and into a space of possibility and openness, to really see how this situation got where it is now, in order to release all of those blockages and obstacles and projections around it. And then what happens there in the real world, in all of your situations you're in, is that the win or lose kind of situation can drop, because we want to win. We want the outcome that we want it to go our way, we want it to go the way we see it should go, based again on that ego or that programming. And when you can step out of that programming and you can have a win-win, you align to the win-win. You want everyone to win, you want everyone to be happy, you want everyone to get what's in their highest good. You can drop the defensiveness, you can drop the control, and then winning doesn't mean the other person has to lose. It then means that you can collaborate on finding a solution. So this, I feel, is more of the spiritual. So we've got kind of ego, mental, here is kind of spiritual, and here I feel is emotional. So we're in like the spiritual, we're in the central pillar here. And so this is the really listening to yourself, really listening to what's coming up for you in these situations, what's coming up with you for you in these relationships, what does it trigger? And instead of just reacting, actually listening to, what does it bring up in me? Gosh, I feel hurt, I feel abandoned, I feel unseen, I feel disrespected. Whatever it is, notice what you feel. And work with it within yourself, but validate it, have compassion for yourself, and see it from a higher perspective. See it from, okay, I can just step out of this feeling and see that this is what it's bringing up in me, rather than just reacting from that place. And the other thing in this listen card is it's about really listening to the other person. So if you've removed the defensiveness here because you've stepped back to review it from a higher perspective, or from a neutral perspective, stepped out of the fears and the egos and just looked at it as if it was somebody else going through it, you can then therefore drop the defensiveness, because it's not personal anymore, because it's not you. You are not this situation, you are not these emotions. So you're viewing it from an outside perspective, and you can see from then that, you know, you're then not responding from a defensive. You're not defending yourself, you're not attacking, because you're not trying to get the outcome that you want. You're listening now that you've been able to listen to your own, what it triggers in you, and where that maybe even came from, and how it's connected to something else from childhood, that has created these concepts that if this happens to you again, then it will end up the same way, that kind of thing. You're then able to, from that perspective, listen to the other person, or the other people involved. Like, what's it bringing up in them? What do they really want? What are they really saying? What's the issue really? What's blocking this? And from that place, that then brings you into here. So listening, of course, isn't just with the ears. It's listening with the heart. It's listening with the mind. It's listening with the eyes. It's watching the body language. It's really getting the full picture, really being present and really listening and to what they believe is in their highest good and the highest good for the relationship or the situation. And so then what that brings is an equal giving and taking, because you now have released, both parties have released their defensiveness because both parties feel heard. You've heard yourself, so then you've been clear about what you're expressing and what you want from a new perspective. You've listened to the other party do the same, and then you were able to give a balanced giving and receiving without the defensiveness, without the control, without the expectations, without the attachment to outcome. And then this one is the emotional. So this is about, so the main idea here is that without a me, there can't be a we. So I'm going in, I'm finding out who I am. I've detached from the ego. I've listened to my triggers, and I've listened to the other person wholeheartedly from my heart. And now I'm going inside and I'm working out who I am and what I need. And I'm giving myself what I need. I'm giving it to myself. If I need help from others, I'm getting it. If I just need space and nurturing and self-loving, I'm doing that. I love it that there are two bluebirds here, bluebirds of happiness, and there's two of them and they're flying together. So they're telling me the arms, the hands are spread out to receive, two hands, two birds in the receiving position. Open, loving, heart-centered, self-healing, and also calling in your nurturing and the things that you need. So in the calling in for yourself what you need, without a me, there's not a we. That then gives you the ability to connect to others from a full cup, from a resourced place, and what that then results in is joy and stability. So you ground that nurturing, that all that you've received there, you ground that into earth in a stable way. So in your day-to-day life and in your situations, it's grounded through you and it spreads out to others, because you're basically a full cup. You're a full cup that's overflowing into the world. This card is traditionally the Four of Wands, which is the twin flame card, the marriage card, the reunion card in the physical world. So it's like the four pillars, the 1111, with the wedding going on in it. So then these two outcome cards came in. So this is in response to the trusting. So we're bringing in that trust. We've been through this whole process. We're bringing the trust in. And I'm seeing the purple of the wings here with the purple of her girdle there. Her belt. And so purple is like the third eye, the psychic vision, the trust in what you see, the trust in your psychic insights, the trust in your guidance and your direction. So as we bring that in, then we get in the individual personal level, we get personal power. So this card here, this is from the Sacred Power reading cards by Anna Stark. These other ones are the psychic, John Holland, the Psychic Tarot for the Heart. So this personal power is actually about the duality. It's about going inner and having patience and watching and listening and seeing as a predator does, and having the patience to know when to act at the exact right time to have the outcome you want, so in this case to catch its prey. And it's also about taking control, being in your power, not being a victim, and realizing that whenever you're going through darkness, this darkness is designed to make you stronger, to mold you and transform you into a very resilient, strong being in those areas that you had not yet developed that. So it's all part of learning about duality. And so once you have that strength and resilience, and I can see this tiger moving forward in action, and I'm also getting it tied to the two blue birds there, moving forward, but you know, really strongly in a strong direction of trust. Having assessed the situation. All of these cards are about assessing the situation and not being a victim, and taking responsibility for what's going on in your life, and understanding that challenges are there for you to work through to make you stronger. And so once you have this sense of personal power, you're no longer a victim. You take responsibility and assess the darkness as well as the light. The card that comes in the real world as the what's grounded in the real world in your relationships is intimacy. So you're coming in all your relationships, especially your divine relationships, are coming from personal power, not victimhood. You're not in a relationship to selfishly win or get what you want, or have control, or tell the other person how to behave to make you happy. You are powerful in yourself. You are the creator of your own universe, and you are bringing these gifts to the other person. Likewise, you attract people who have been through the same process, who are empowered in themselves. They're not projecting onto you from ego and wounding. When they're coming together with you, they're sharing their knowing, they're sharing their gifts. They're able to speak intelligently about who they are, what they want, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, how it feels when you come together, where compromise is needed, how you can make compromises without controlling each other, what's freely offered, what is freely given and received, and anything that isn't is discussed and understood from a loving heart. And of course, in soul relationships, this is the two polarities, the divine masculine, divine feminine coming together, the twin flames coming together, and this is the marriage of the twin flames and the divine counterparts. So just bringing that trust in the divine timing, the divine plan, taking the plunge. You know, sometimes marriage is called taking the plunge, diving in from a place of wholeness, an openness and a loving heart, a heart space into the connection and the commitment and the intimacy with another, where you work together on this entity that is the divine union. Tata koto to to to. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening, and I hope you get the codes from that. Drink a lot of water and just let it integrate. This is a example of the kind of readings I'm going to be doing on Patreon. So there's a divine feminine and divine masculine reading that I'm adding just to the Patreon group. It's a new offering. So this is just an introduction to it. So if you want to get more of these, they're available on Patreon. So I'll put the link down below. The other kinds of readings I do that I've been doing up until now will still be for free, also on Patreon, on Instagram, and on YouTube. So all the links to all of those are below. Blessings everybody.